On Christmas Eve, a quiet janitor at a big box store intervenes when security and a manager corner a broke dad over a cheap tree star, risking his job and giving up rent money to pay. His choice changes the mood of the store and sparks small, humane shifts in others, including a security guard steering a child to the coat barrel instead of a back room. The janitor's own hidden struggles surface in small details, leading to a humble, hopeful ending without fanfare. Before we dive in, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And hey, where are you tuning in from? Leave your country in the comments. I love seeing how far these stories reach. He found glitter in places glitter had no right to be. It stuck to the mop handle, and his sleeves bright on grey wool. It got in his coffee. It made the floor look like it was trying to be a sky. It was Christmas Eve morning at the discount store by the highway. The lot was slush and ruts. Inside, it was warm and loud. Canned carols. A blow-up snowman in the entry wheezed and blinked. The toy aisle smelled like plastic and sugar. Pine needles had fallen off trees that shouldn't have been out of the bags yet. He swept them anyway. He moved slow because the floor was slick. He had salt dried on his boots in white lines. His green vest was too thin and too big. The reflective tape at the hem had peeled to a curl. He liked his list, though. There's comfort in a list. Bathrooms first. Then carts. Then toys. Then the front. People stepped around his bucket like it was a cone they didn't see. He didn't mind. He liked being the man who made things work after hours. He liked the way a clean aisle looked. He liked when he pulled the mop and the water made one sound, a hush. He caught a cracked ornament under a shelf with the broom and held it up to the light. It was a cheap ball with a dent the size of a thumb. He set it on the end cap like it was worth saving. The kid 2 aisles over laughed at a toy that sang in a deep voice. Someone's cart squeaked on one wheel. The overhead speaker called for backup at the registers. At the self-checkout, a dad in a frayed coat scanned cereal and batteries. He wore thin gloves with the fingertips rubbed down to fuzz. A boy stood in the cart seat, small and bundled, with a blue parka that made him look like a marshmallow. The kid reached for a silver star on a peg. It was the cheap kind, but it was shiny. The dad took it and set it on the child's lap like it was a crown. He scanned a ham. He scanned a half-gone bag of rolls. He checked his phone and frowned. The store had put in those squeaky alarm gates near the doors last month. They were always a little off. They caught on the gift-wrap tube glue, on hair clips, on nothing at all. The dad shifted the star under the cart's seat to make room for the rolls. He scanned gum with the other hand. He paid at the screen, tapped twice, waited. The receipt came out thin and grey. The gate chirped when they walked past. It was a small sound at first, then the second gate caught it and made it worse. Heads turned. The kid tried to shrink into the puffy coat. The dad stopped, red coming up his neck. The security guard was fast. Stocky guy, shaved head, black jacket with the patch. He had the look of someone who's been told to be firm. He put out a hand, not grabbing, but close. "Hang on," he said, not loud, not soft. The manager's red blazer cut through the aisle like a stop sign. She came over from seasonal with a clipboard under one arm and a tight mouth. "What's the issue?" she asked the guard without looking at the dad. The guard pointed. The star was under the seat. The sticker had tried to come off. It had left a mess of glue and paper. The dad said it didn't scan at the kiosk. He said he'd go pay for it. He said he thought he had. A few people slowed to watch. It doesn't take much to make a circle. The singing toys still sang. The blow-up snowman still blinked. The manager asked the guard to bring them to the office. She said it like she had said it before. The kid had his chin tucked down. Little hands in little mittens flew to his hat like someone might take even that. The man with the mop watched from the end cap. He did the small math. He saw the star was $7.97. He saw the dad's shoes had salt lines like his. He saw the kid's hat had a pom-pom with one loose string. He looked at the manager. He looked at the guard. He felt the next thing heavy. He set the mop against the shelf and walked over, palms open. He didn't raise his voice. "That star was on the floor earlier," he said. It wasn't exactly a lie. He had seen one down the aisle. "I put it back crooked. If it caught, that's on me." He nodded at the star. "I'll pay for it now." The manager's eyes ticked to his vest. She didn't like this. You could see the policy page turn behind her face. "Sir, this is loss prevention," she said, like he hadn't heard the gates scream. "You can't just—" "I just did," he said. He kept his hands open. He tried to give her an off-ramp. "We don't need the office. We need a barcode." He reached for the star like it was hot. He held it loose the way you hold a baby bird. The guard looked at the kid. The kid stared at the guard's toneless badge. The dad swallowed. He didn't say thanks. He didn't say a word. He stood like a man who had been in rooms where talking made it worse. "Fine," the manager said, but in a way that meant it wasn't fine. She snapped to the teen at the lane. "Scan it." Her pen tapped the clipboard. "Make sure it rings." He pulled a flat stack of worn bills from his wallet and set them down. 20s like paper that had done a lot of days. The teen scanned the star. $8 with tax. He paid. He didn't look at the total. He just wanted the beep to stop. The kid reached for the star with both hands like it was hot chocolate. The dad's eyes were glassy, but no tears. Not here. The guard stepped back. His jaw loosened. The manager made a note on a sheet she didn't need to make a note on. The beep stopped. The little circle moved again. The noise came back in, normal noise, carts and carols and the slide of coat sleeves. The dad nodded once at the man in the vest. He put his hand on his kid's head, like to check the hat was still there. They walked out slow. They did not look back. He took his mop to the next aisle and started again. He felt eyes on him and let them pass. He liked the quiet that comes after a small storm. The teen by the kiosks kept her head down and gave him a quick look that said a lot without much. The manager went to seasonal and pretended to count lights. The guard did a slow loop by the doors and rubbed his tan line where his watch had been. The next hour was carts again and salt. He scraped gum off tile with the edge of a gift card. He tightened a loose wheel that had squealed all morning. He made a kid laugh by spinning an empty cart like a race car. Small work. Good work. In the break room, he counted singles by the humming soda machine. He drew lines on a small spiral page. He moved $10 from gas to rent. He moved nothing to groceries. He had a pink slip in his pocket from the landlord with a date circled. He had folded it down so only the circle showed. He took out his phone and squinted at the screen. There was a text from his sister in another state, a picture of a little table they had set for later. "Wish you were here," it said. He wrote back, "Next month, I swear." He didn't add the part about the brakes on the car. He didn't add the part about the hot water heater taking a slow leak into a bucket he emptied every night. He put the wallet back and wiped his hands on his pants. He stared at the machine until the buzzing went away and he could think. Then he went back to the floor. Customers don't see the shiver. They see the shine. At the self-checkout later, a teen taped up a hand-lettered sign, "If something doesn't scan, ask a human." She looked around like she was expecting trouble. Then she pressed the tape hard and left it there anyway. She slid a coffee in a paper cup onto the edge of the mop bucket as he passed. She didn't say it was for him. He didn't say he knew. He warmed his hands and kept walking. Near the doors that afternoon, the security guard bent down to a kid with no gloves. He had a face that usually didn't bend. He bent it. He pointed to the donation barrel by the front. The barrel had coats and hats and socks shelved in it like a fort. "Pick a pair," he said to the kid. Not to the kid's mom, like the kid mattered. He stood by while the kid dug until he found red ones. The guard took the tag off and tossed it in the barrel. He caught the man in the green vest's eye. He shrugged one shoulder like, not a big deal. Then he went back to watching the doors. In the afternoon, the manager came by the toy aisle and straightened the peg of stars herself. She had the list and a tight mouth still, but she was softer in the shoulders. She reprinted the star's barcode and taped it to the peg in 6 different spots. She tied the star stickers down better. She nodded at the man with a look like a truce. He nodded back. "You don't need a speech for that." 2 days later, the dad came back with his kid and an envelope. It was Tuesday. The store was quieter, lights with less heat. The envelope had the man's first name written on it wrong. Inside were 14 ones and coins taped to an index card. There was a drawing of a star with a smiley face. He counted it in the break room and put the drawing in his locker like it was a postcard. After his shift, he saw the teen cashier leaning on the counter and filling out an online application. He saw the guard help an older woman load a bag of salt into a trunk. He saw the manager talking to the team about moving the donation barrel closer to the registers. He didn't feel like a hero. He didn't feel like anything but tired. He had given up some of rent and some of pride. He might have a talk tomorrow about stepping into a thing that wasn't his lane. He had a list of repairs at home that wouldn't get done until next payday. He had a coat that didn't zip smooth. He had a file box under his bed with papers in it he didn't look at because they would still be there when he looked again. He also had the look the kid had when the star was in his hands. He had a small sign he had not put up but liked seeing anyway. He had warm coffee from a cup that had his handprint on it. He had a text from his sister with a picture of a plate of cookies shaped like hearts and trees. He sent a thumbs up back and wrote, "Save me one. Rules keep stores from leaking. They keep shelves straight and people from grabbing and walking. They matter most days. But rules don't see faces. People do. Someone will always have to be the hinge between the written thing and the living moment. Today, it was a man with a mop and a pocket full of not enough. Tomorrow, it might be someone else with a different tool." He clocked out at the little grey box and shrugged his coat on. The zippers stuck and went. He waved at the teen. He gave the guard a chin lift. He left through the side door where the smokers went and breathed the cold in like medicine. The sky was that heavy white that makes you quieter. Snow started again. Fat flakes, slow. He waited for the bus under a string of dull bulbs in the lot. One bulb flashed. Not a twinkle, more like a blink. His breath came white and soft. He put his coffee cup on the trash can and tucked his hands in his armpits and watched the buses pull in and out. Across the street, in the second-floor window over the nail place, a star glowed soft in a dark room. Not big, not bright. Enough.